Well, hello. Uh, I'm gonna make another video today. The Nevada debates have come and gone. The Nevada caucus has come and gone, and it seems that just a few hours ago we had the finalized results for the Nevada caucus come out. Uh, Tomorrow we're gonna have the South Carolina debates, and we are also gonna have the recount of Iowa. So there's gonna be some changes that are going to happen in delegate numbers tomorrow as well. But today, first thing we're going to look at is the result of the Nevada caucus, which we can see that Sanders has won a resounding, a decisive victory, a victory which is, well, it certainly carries some momentum with it. And it clearly shows that the Sanders campaign has picked up a lot of momentum, and it's going to be difficult to stop it, and it's going to be even more difficult to try and manage to mount any kind of uh, campaign against it. But we're going to see how things develop, beginning with the South Carolina debates tomorrow. One thing I did want to talk about before we start today, talking about South Carolina, is well, it seems that Radical Politics actually looked at my video. The shitty ass video I made in January. My first actual video with content. He made some comments. He made a comment, and he commented on some things. I don't know what he means about being subscribed to Vosh. I guess he doesn't like him. Has his YouTube in another language and acts like an expert in American politics. I don't know what to say. Did I act like an expert? I really don't think I did. In fact, I acted like a fucking idiot. This video, I gotta say, it's horrible. I just screamed at the camera, screamed at the screen for just 50 minutes straight, just to vent, basically. Like, for real, I was looking to make videos for a while, and it was mostly because of rage. Like, I was getting angry, and I talked to myself a lot, so I decided, you know what, I might as well record myself, right? So, that day, I saw a video of his, and then that video yeah, the Delaware and Rhode Island video, and then that reminded me of the 400 electoral votes video that made me so fucking pissed about how fucking stupid he was. And then, you know, in any case, he saw my video. Still, I don't feel like I acted like an expert, but whatever. And then the third point is that I use Morning Consult to look at the Trump approval rates. I'm gonna be honest here. I just literally used what I found in on Google during the video. So again, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm trash. So, of course, I looked at that, but I could have used the 538 Trump approval rates. I could also have looked at civics, and I think that Radical Politics himself points out that this is a better tool, and I can see why. Because look at how thorough it is. It has age, it has education, gender, party, affiliation, race. It goes by state, and you can mix them together. So I could look at 35 to 49, college graduates, female, independent, white, and from New York. See, I could look at exactly that, and I can even see the trend over time. That's insane. And it even has like a few markers over here, like what happened at that specific date. That's pretty great. I'm gonna be honest here. This is some really good stuff. I'll definitely be using this tool, and you know, I gotta, use better tools to make videos in the future. So, in any case, if there's anything to be said, I guess I gotta apologize to Radical Politics for making such a shitty video. But again, he watched it and he apparently left a comment and he watched like at least 10 minutes of it, which is about when I get to the morning consult part. So I guess he watched my video quite a bit. A lot of his fans came over. He commented things I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, like OK Sapper and OK Ryzen. I have no idea what the hell that means, but whatever. That's fine. I'm actually glad he saw my video, and I hope he'll be watching my future videos and making comments about what the fuck I'm getting wrong, because that's all I want. Um, with that said, let's actually look at South Carolina. Hell yeah. So, taking a good drink here. In Nevada, Sanders won a resounding victory. I predicted that he would win, but I definitely didn't expect him to win by this much. I'm going to take a look real quick at the numbers I put in. Well, hello. Yeah, I predicted he would get first, but I'm pretty sure I predicted he would get roughly 30% of the vote. Now, he did get around that much. He got, in the first alignment, got 34%, but then, of course, the second alignment pushed him over to 40%. I expected him to not get that much because there would be more viable candidates and that he wouldn't be pulling as many people from other camps. But amazingly, he managed to get 6% extra votes. And of course, that meant he won a lot more precincts, or rather, he was the only viable one in a lot of precincts, which meant that he also got another 6% on top of the 6% he already got for when it comes to delegates. And then on top of that, he won another what? 20% more delegates when it came to actually assigning delegates for the convention. That's crazy. He got 2/3 of the pledged delegates, just like that. That was an amazing result for Sanders. So, moving on from Nevada, we have to take a look at the effects this had on the national polls. Now, I predicted Warren would pick up a little bit. Buttigieg would either plateau or fall. Klobuchar starting on the way down, and that's kind of what I got. Bloomberg and Biden, they have both stalled their. Biden stalled his downward spiral, and Bloomberg stopped his growth. But of course, Sanders still picked up a lot of support. So yeah, again, as I predicted, Biden managed to stop himself from losing so much support. Nevada, despite doing so badly and only getting second place, a very distant second place, still he managed to make himself viable, and he's getting a lot stronger for South Carolina. In fact, the few polls that have come out, they have made Biden take a big jump. Look at this. He's up to 30%, and this is from being at 23% just before the Nevada caucus, and now he's up to 30. Now Sanders also picked up a little bit. He went up to 2% extra on top of what he already had. Steyer obviously lost support because he wasn't in the debate. He's gonna be there tomorrow. Pretty good for him. Um, man, look at this. Like he lost 4% support because of that. I didn't expect he would lose that much because he's been carpet bombing the airwaves and putting a lot of ads out in South Carolina. He was also doing that in Nevada, but didn't have as much support there. So we're definitely looking at a more contested race in Carolina, and it seems very likely that Biden is going to carry the win, and it's going to be a pretty strong win there. Now, of course, another thing we need to keep in mind is that the Bloomberg numbers need to be disconsidered. And given that Bloomberg has 10% of the support in these polls, well, we gotta take a look at nationwide polling, right? And therefore, oh, sorry. This is the one that has all the South Carolina. South Carolina, of course, when you take a look over here, they didn't update it for today. That's sloppy on Wikipedia, or rather its users, but it does have the new poll here, which puts Joe Biden at 36%. So, this is something that's very important to keep in mind. Tom Steyer and Joe Biden are the main competitors for Bernie Sanders here. And with Joe Biden on the rise, well, we're going to see what happens in the debate. Tom Steyer, he has basically no leg to stand on unless he gets a very decisive result in South Carolina. So we can expect him to come out swinging on the debate. He's definitely going to be trying to make his voice heard. And he's definitely going to be coming out and trying to get everybody's attention on him. And then nationally, we're going to be looking at a situation where Warren, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar, they're also desperate. Klobuchar, she's on the way out. She's definitely on the decline. She just barely managed to get a place on the debates by actually scoring in Iowa and a little bit on New Hampshire. But she's on the way out. She's definitely losing out a lot of support, and it's very, very concerning what her situation looks like for the future. Especially in the national polls, she's down to 5%, which is about as well as Young ever did. And she definitely needs to be getting more active and managing to put herself in the spotlight, which I doubt is going to happen. She just doesn't have the charisma for that. So I think that Klobuchar is going to lose pretty badly in South Carolina, and then I presume that she's going to drop out after Super Tuesday, even if she wins in Minnesota, which is her home state. So, let's make the predictions. How is the situation going to look like on good old South Carolina? This is a prediction made before the debates, and this is a prediction made obviously before the South Carolina primary. So, given it's a primary, we're all going to be looking at the results in votes. Total number of votes divided between the districts to see if you got a viability in them to get some votes there, and divided across the entire state, and you get pledged delegates for the convention. So, South Carolina has the most pledged delegates of the race so far. That's 54. So of course there's a lot of competition that's going to be happening here, and we have thus far on the polls 3 candidates that are above the threshold, at least so far, and at least take into account that we can expect Steyer to be within the statistical margin of error, of course, and we can expect him to at least be alive in the debate. So this is going to be a pretty difficult prediction, because the debate may go a lot of different ways. We may even see Warren pick up something. But here I come with my predictions. Well, Biden, I think he's going to get some. It's difficult to say. There was another poll that came out by a pretty good source. It was B ranked by 538, and it said 36% Biden. I'm going to say Biden's going to get roughly 35%, and he's going to get obviously first place. Sanders, on the other hand, I think he's going to overperform as usual, 25-ish%, getting second place pretty good. Steyer, I think he's going to do okay on the debate, might get himself just barely 15% in a third place. Um, we have to also take into account that Bloomberg's numbers are not to be accounted for. So this is why I think that both Sanders and Steer can pick up, and also Biden. That's where the vast majority of that Bloomberg support is probably going. Biden and Steer, and Sanders, of course, always overperforms because the polls don't tend to pick up a lot of young people. And, of course, Sanders has a lot of support with young people. On the other hand, though, the other candidates, well, among these guys, it's 75%. It's difficult to say. Could any of them pick up more votes like this? I don't know. I think Buttigieg is going to lose support. It's going to be sitting at like 8%. I think that Warren is going to be sitting. She might pick up a little bit of support, get at 10%. Klobuchar at best 5%. Gabbard, of course, her usual 2-ish% support. So with this, we have the general idea of what we're going to have. Of course, Biden is going to get the lion's share, but I think that Sanders is going to at least be viable in every district. So there's going to be some division there. With that in mind, looking at the delegates, I think we can. I think we can therefore. Well, let's see how quickly, very quickly, how the delegates are going to be divided. Okay, it doesn't have here, but green papers. There you go. South Carolina over here. So, okay, so it has 7 congressional districts plus the PLEOs and then at large. Well, that's 54. Well, that's something to think about. With those numbers, it seems that Sanders is going to pick up like with only 3 candidates actually getting the viability threshold statewide. I think that, well, let's see. So Biden. Hang on. Oops. This is not a very good tool for that. There you go. Right. Now I don't know where the congressional districts are. I don't know how they're divided. I don't know where Steer could be picking up more support. So I'm not gonna make. I'm gonna. I'm gonna pretend he gets 15% everywhere. I think that might work better. So right. So Biden would get roughly 3 here. Sanders would get 2. Steer would get 1. Then of course we would have Biden 2, Sanders 1. This might be where Steer gets nothing. I'm also expecting that the congressional districts are going to go exactly as they went statewide. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen. Biden's probably going to be doing a lot better here. right? And that gives us a total of, well, it gives roughly 30 delegates. Then Sanders gets the 15, and then Steer gets the rest. So 9, right? Did I count it right? Yep. So that's roughly what I expect. 30, 15, 9. It might go a bit differently. We might have Biden pick up a little bit less, Sanders a little bit more, depending on the rounding. Steyer might pick up a little bit more, like maybe Steyer gets up to 10 or maybe even up to 12 at most, I would say. Like we could have a division where Sanders picks up 20, and then Steyer gets even less. Who knows? But Biden's obviously going to pick up roughly half of them, a little bit more perhaps. Sanders picking up about a third and Steer the rest. So that's my prediction right there. Um, and I think that's how it's gonna go with delegates, given what we have right here. Of course, there's something left to be discovered with the debate tomorrow. We might have a situation where Warren manages to really jump out in the spotlight. Maybe Klobuchar drops out or something. Maybe Gabbard drops out, which might give Sanders a few more votes, or who knows? Somebody might die. That's also a possibility. Like Biden might just have a heart attack and drop dead, or Sanders might do that. Who knows? But of course, this is my prediction right now, and I think this is the most likely situation. Biden is really on the upswing here, and I think that this will put him back in the race, and it will also mean that Buttigieg, Warren, very probably, Steyer as well, they're and Klobuchar, they're all going to be on very dire straits, and I think it's going to turn into a freeway race between Biden, Sanders, and Bloomberg. So, and this is sort of the prediction here. They say Sanders will pick up about 20, while Biden picks up 24. I think they have better data on the districts, so maybe Sanders does a lot better on the districts, on at least a few of them. But well, they also have a thing where they're kind of expecting Buttigieg and Warren to pick up delegates when they're probably not gonna be viable. So those four delegates are probably gonna go to Biden, which is gonna push him up to roughly 28, so closer to the 30 I was talking about. Steer, yeah, maybe I was a bit optimistic with him because I don't really know where he's gonna do well. And I think it's going to be at the very limit of 15%. He might even be a little bit below, which will put him out of the statewide delegates. But he's going to do well in some districts and earn himself a few delegates that way. So yeah, it might happen that he gets like only about 5 and Sanders gets a lot more because he isn't viable statewide. So again, I think like 30, 20 with the rest going to Steyer might very well happen. So, in any case, does this mean anybody's gonna drop out? Possibly Steyer. Possibly Steyer. But then again, Steyer is pretty much dead in every other primary. Like I don't think he's expected to pick up delegates anywhere. Yeah, right. Like he doesn't have support anywhere at all. I think he's maybe expecting to get a win in South Carolina and put himself in the race. I guess that's what he's expecting. But if he does really badly, if he doesn't even come within viability, I think that's it for Steer, and I think we're gonna see him drop out. And therefore, we can very well oops, just have him out of here, and that's 2% that gets reallocated to other people. and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully Gabbard drops out as well, so that's an aggregate of about 4% being sorry. Yeah, it's roughly 4% being redistributed among the other candidates, and then we can see what really happens in the race. Probably whoever votes for Steyer is gonna go to Bloomberg or Biden. Meanwhile, Gabbard, I think, is gonna be divided between Warren and Sanders. Maybe a tiny bit to Klobuchar, but Klobuchar's on the way out too. I think if Klobuchar does badly enough, she might consider dropping out, but I don't think so. I think that what's going to happen is that instead Klobuchar is going to stick it in until at least Super Tuesday. Give Bernie a real run for his money in Minnesota, and then she's going to drop out with her however many delegates she ends up picking up, you know? So, and Super Tuesday is probably going to be the end for it's probably going to be the end for Gabbard as well, if she manages to even stay in until that point. I don't know why the hell Gabbard is even in anymore. Uh, it might be the end for Buttigieg. And of course, then it's going to be a four-way race. We're going to have Sanders, Warren, Bloomberg, and Biden. And if Warren loses Massachusetts as she's projected to, she will very probably drop out. And then we're going to have Sanders and Bloomberg duking it out in cities, and Biden running away with it in the southern states and the more rural areas. Like I think that's where he has the most appeal. So yeah, it's gonna be looking very interesting when we have basically everyone behind Biden drop out. Like Buttigieg, I think there's a I think they have a second options here. Uh, yep. Okay. Yes, second choices, right? So Warren is obviously majoritarily going to Bernie Sanders, with another portion going to Amy Klobuchar, which is another dead candidate. So very likely these guys are going to be divided between going to Biden, Buttigieg, and Sanders. So I'm going to say Sanders is a roughly 45-ish% of Warren supporters. You know, it could even just say it's about half. Buttigieg supporters are going to Bloomberg and Klobuchar, but also Sanders. So, so we could see Sanders picking up some 2% from these guys, and then another, I don't know, 5-6% from Warren. So that's 7%. That would put him up to 34%. We don't know about Steer. Biden supporters are also supporting Sanders. Bloomberg supporters somehow Sanders, and Sanders, of course, going to Elizabeth Warren. So it's interesting what could be happening if these two drop out, and then we have Klobuchar as well. We don't know what's going to happen with her votes. I think they're defaulting over to Warren. Like they have a pretty good alliance between each other. But if they both drop out, probably Biden and Sanders if they don't have Buttigieg. So Sanders will be picking up like roughly 8% from Buttigieg and Warren dropping out. Maybe I guess we can say it's about 10% if Klobuchar, Steer, and Gabbard drop out. Maybe 11 or 12. So that would put him up to about, let's say, 40% with that. And then Bloomberg is going to be probably up to like 30%, and Biden as well 30%. So it's going to be a pretty split race, and it's going to be a situation where there's going to be two main establishment candidates, and they're going to be spoiling each other. We'll see how that goes. Uh, Bloomberg should have taken a much tougher hit after the Nevada debates, but that's not what we're seeing here. That's really scary. Um, with that said, I think we can therefore sit down and wait for the good old South Carolina debate tomorrow and the South Carolina primaries a few days afterwards, and then we can see how things are looking for just over a week from now. We're going to be having the Super Tuesday primaries and caucus, I believe. I think there's one of them that's a caucus. That's gonna be the decisive moment of this campaign, and I think that that's where the race will be effectively over because of so many people dropping out, and because there's still gonna be so many candidates with possibly only Steyer dropping out after South Carolina. I think Super Tuesday is gonna go overwhelmingly for Sanders, but we'll see. I'm gonna make a prediction video after South Carolina and before Super Tuesday, and we'll see how that goes. But right now, we can see that Sanders is just barely below what he needs to become the nominee. That's 1990. He is already expected to get 1816. But it's gonna be a pretty big. We're gonna see how things go. But Sanders is really expected to gain most of everything in Super Tuesday. Um, he's now even expected to win in Minnesota against Klobuchar. That's crazy. But Alabama is still firmly in Biden's hands. And of course, I think that Sanders' lead has. He hasn't really weakened in other states, huh? I do believe Tennessee has fallen a little bit. A very tiny bit, apparently. Yeah, Bloomberg has lost a lot of support in these states. So, well, we're gonna see how things go. We definitely have a lot more to see before this happens. But man, if these California numbers hold up, that's crazy. That really is crazy. And this is a situation where all the other candidates are expected to finish with less than 15% of the vote in California. Of course, there's so many districts in California. They're bound to pick up 15% in a few of them, especially the most Republican ones. They might be voting Bloomberg. But can you imagine Sanders walking away from this with some, I don't know, maybe 400, no, sorry, 415 is the total. Maybe some 300 delegates here? Wow, that would be crazy. Sanders could be putting himself up by so much. But we'll see. In any case, that's it, boys. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't yet. Uh, Comment, please, if you think I have said something wrong, or if you think I'm stupid, or if you're ready to go politics. Please keep commenting on my videos. I love you, man. You provide me with a lot of content. I love laughing at your videos, and it was a blast to have you at my video commenting on it. That was amazing, man. You made that day. You made my day. Thank you very much for that. I hope you'll be back for more. See you next time, boys. And yeah, have a good night.